RVing for Newbies, RV Mentor, Electricity, Alternating Current, Episode 5, Pedestal Checking. Today we're going to look at 50 amps.
RV Mentor, RVing for Newbies, ethics disclaimer. All the tools being used, the items being installed or reviewed were purchased by RV Mentor. The only exceptions will be denoted in the next slide in this video, giving the name of the manufacturer, the items, and how they were acquired, donated, etc. The things stated in this video are the opinions of RV Mentor and are just that, opinions, but are based on 13 years of being an RV owner and being an RV inspector. Let's get on with the video.
Let's take a look at non-contact voltage testers. This is the second tool in your arsenal you definitely want to have. Multimeters 1, non-contact voltage testers 2. And when we go and do the testing of a pedestal, in the video associated with that, you'll see why this is important so that you don't get shocked in the event that pedestal is wired incorrectly. Before you use these, test them in a known socket. One you know there's electricity in. I don't care if it's off your generator, in your house or whatever. Make sure the battery's not dead. If a socket's wired correctly, you'll get nothing out of the left. You'll get nothing. Sometimes you can't even get it in the ground. This one, kind of skeptical. It's kind of close. We might pull this one out and take a look. See, even just getting close enough to it will give you. Now let's take a look at the other one. Notice how far away I am, and it's beeping. This is a good 3 to 4 inches away from there. Here's what you'd be. Sounds like if it's in the plug and there's live 120 volt AC. There's nothing in these prongs, but this device has 2 modes. One for lower voltage, meaning if I'm seeing scatter voltage, maybe I think it goes down to 40 volts. Might even go down lower than that. But if you're anywhere near it, here's where it's registering. It's not registering the full beep at like 120, but it is saying there's electricity around here somewhere. What we have in front of us here is, and you'll see here in a minute, is the inside is a 50 amp circuit. So let's talk about, you've just pulled into the campground. You've backed in or pulled in a pull-through site, doesn't really matter. And you get out of your RV, and what's the first thing you want to think about doing? You want to plug in the electric. Let's talk about the steps you do before you plug in. This will be the first part of the series in Campground Pedestal Electric. Let's get out your non-contact voltage tester. It looks something like this. You have an on button here. When the light turns green, it means you're ready to test. Let's go to the pedestal, and we're going to touch the front, the top, the side, the other side, and the case on the electric meter. We touch all the glass around here. Reason is, we want to make sure there's no rogue electricity on any of the metal pieces so that you don't get shocked. So we test all of the outside of the box first. Once we've tested the outside of the box and we know it's safe to touch the box, then we'll open up and take a look inside. Inside here, we have a 50 amp receptacle. Notice there are 4 holes: top, left, right, and bottom. If the receptacle is set correctly, the half moon-like one, the one that's not the same as the other 3, is your ground and should be at the top. The left side and the right side are both hot, 120 volts apiece, and the bottom one is your neutral. If it is wired correctly, placing the non-contact voltage tester in the top hole, you should still see the green light and the NCVT will not make any noise. The left and the right sides are both 120 volts apiece. They're both your hot wires. Your bottom is neutral, and when you place your non-contact voltage tester there, it should not beep or register anything, just like the ground. We touched the center screw also to make sure it's safe, and on the outside of the box to make sure it was all safe. To do this, I have a male 50 amp homemade dog bone adapter. See my blog post about why it was homemade, but what it does is takes each leg of the hot leads, runs it down a separate wire to a 15 amp adapter, so I can test each leg for correct voltage and that the rest of the wiring is correct. We plug into the receptacle. Now we take our tools and plug into the 15 amp circuits, a digital monitor, and the receptacle tester to check the volts, hertz, and any miswiring. The tester will show us 2 orange lights, and that will tell us it is wired correctly. We see 123 volts and 60 hertz. That means it's a safe pedestal for you to plug into. Let's look at the other leg also. Same thing over there, 120, 121, somewhere in that vicinity. We have 2 orange lights, and we're good to go and ready to plug the RV in. Now, if you don't want to purchase these items or don't want to test manually, you can test the volts on each side of the plug. Also, take out your multimeter. Place it in AC mode to check the AC volts. I put mine in a 600 volt mode. We see 120, 121 on both sides. So take the red probe, place it on the left side, the black probe into the ground. Now do the right hole and leave the black probe in the top. You should still see 120, 121 or somewhere in that vicinity. Put the red in the left and the black in the right, and you will see roughly 240 volts. This is where some people get confused. There are 2 wires of 120 volts coming into your RV on a 50 amp circuit. I'm just going to leave that at that because people want to get into arguments about it, and I'm not going to get into arguments. It's 2 wires of 120 volts. Also check the neutral on the bottom against the left and the right and see what you come up with. What happens if you pull up and the receptacle is only 50 amp service and you have a 30 amp RV? You need one of these, a dog bone adapter. It is a 50 amp male to plug into the pedestal receptacle to a 30 amp female adapter to plug your 30 amp RV shore cord into. After you've done all of your testing, make sure the pedestal and the receptacle is safe, and then you can plug the 50 amp side into the plug, your 30 amp into the other side, your 30 amp RV into the other side of the cord. Alright, so in the first part of the video, we talked about using a non-contact voltage tester to make sure you don't get shocked. Well, what happens if you pull into the RV park and you go to your pedestal and it's not metal? It's plastic. So what do you do when you deal with a plastic one? How do you deal with a plastic one? Well, you could pull out your non-contact tester, but it's not going to do any good because, in theory, plastic does not conduct electricity, right? You've got metal here that you could test, but pretty much you're just going to have to pull out your non-contact tester. Pretty much you're just going to pull out your non-contact tester and go ahead and test all the probes like we did on the other one. Same concept. 50 amp service, left and right poles, they're both 120. The top is the ground, the bottom is the neutral. The exact same testing we did with the other one, leaving out the non-voltage contact tester part, is what we would do with this one.